What's up guys, this is Tristan, and today I'm going to be talking about why I think East Blue Volumes 1 through 12 of the One Piece was so genius, and why it was pretty much the best possible way to introduce the series. So first off, the format of East Blue, because East Blue is pretty much a string of small arcs about Luffy going to a new island, exploring a little bit of the land, fighting a villain, and most of all, gaining a new crew member. And not only did this give the new crew member their own arc and a little slice of character development, but it also gave a new insight as to what the powers were, what the world was like, the political structure, all that stuff, and a little bit of what the geography and history of this world was like. Since One Piece is a very complex and intricate series, there were many different ways as to how this could go wrong, but Ichiro Oda started off on a small scale while still giving the feeling that there is much more to this world and there is much more to be explained later in the series. And I think that's one of the main reasons why One Piece is so genius, not just in East Blue, but also in the series as a whole. One Piece starts off on a very small scale, just giving these different examples of how the characters interact with each other, and little explorations of the world, much smaller islands than what's being explored now in the series. And I think that really is the proper way to tell a story. You can't first start off with these huge islands and these massive villains and all this crazy powers and just expect readers to automatically catch on. You first have to start off with something small that they're already familiar with, and then branch out from there, and that's what One Piece did, because Ichiro Oda definitely took from his inspirations more in the beginning of the series with East Blue, and he later developed more of his own style with Baroque Works and Water 7, Skypiea, all of that stuff. And if it weren't for East Blue being as good as it was, and if it weren't for East Blue setting up all of this stuff within the One Piece world, One Piece just simply wouldn't be nearly as good as it is today. Even though there are still Straw Hat crew members being introduced in the manga, it's still very impressive how most of the crew was introduced within the first 12 volumes, and they're still in the series 800 or so chapters later. Not only that, but Ichiro Oda has purposely put in subtle hints at how these characters interact with each other and their personality types just based on dialogue and facial expressions alone. At first, Zoro doesn't want to join Luffy's crew, and his nickname is literally Pirate Hunter Zoro. But he later joins Luffy's crew in hopes that he can fulfill a promise with a friend of his to become the greatest swordsman in the world. When Nami is first introduced, she just seems like a cat burglar who only wants money, but once we get to the Arlong Park story, we find out that there's so much more to her character than just that. Same with Sanji. When he's first introduced, he just seems like a cool guy who's kind of arrogant and fights everyone he sees. But once we see Sanji's childhood, we find out the true reason as to why he became a chef in the first place and why he's so obsessed with not wasting food. And lastly, Usopp. When he's first introduced, no one takes him seriously and everyone in his village just thinks he's kind of annoying. So he goes to sea with the Straw Hat crew in hopes that he can become a hero, and eventually, he does become the hero that he always dreamed he would be. Character moments like these is not only why East Blue is such an amazing introduction arc, but it's also why One Piece is my favorite manga of all time. And what I said earlier about Ichiro Oda's influences, I still stand by that 100%. One of Ichiro Oda's biggest influences was the animated TV show Vicky the Viking. He was a big fan of that show when he was younger, and it definitely served as a basis for East Blue. Not only that, but Ichiro Oda was also greatly inspired by Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball. I have also heard somewhere that old Tom and Jerry cartoons influenced Ichiro Oda's art style, but I'm not sure how true that is, so don't quote me on that. Anyways though, One Piece had a very familiar feel to it while at the same time being very new and original. All those influences combined with the great character moments, the world building, and of course, the setup with the devil fruits, made for one of my favorite introduction arcs of all time, East Blue. And with that... NANI?! Wait a minute, guys, I think we're getting a video transmission here. I think we're getting a video transmission from Shrug Pod.
What was so significant for East Blue building its world was the way that it set up all these different groups and all these larger pirates, because we knew that in the division known as East Blue of the entire world, that there were a set few pirates that were very dangerous, and then we knew that there were more people, like the warlords, who were set up that were even greater than that. And it established just a larger world, as we knew that there were larger islands, and that we knew that there were even stronger people. and that they had the abilities to be dangerous. And so what it establishes that the more islands that they ventured onto is that the Straw Hats would come face to face with more dangerous people, no matter whether that be the East Blue or later on down. But in this case, the East Blue really did distinguish itself from the rest, as Luffy understood that the villains that he was facing were stronger and stronger later on, because we realize now that the world is so much larger than it was at the beginning. But East Blue really did recognize that this entire world that Oda was establishing was full of just all these different types of people, and that further on down the line we'd see so many different and greater and more powerful people.
So yeah guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Big shout out to Shrug Pod for helping me out with this video. And as always guys, I will see you in the next video.